Hi everyone, let me first wish you a happy new year. I hope you will make extremely nice photos for the year to come, perhaps even better photos than the ones we will judge now. So I received that article that's compiling the best street photographs of 2025. I propose to look at it with you guys and give my harsh criticism to those images. As you might know, I'm not a big fan of those online competitions. I'm also not a big fan at looking at single images. I prefer to look at printed projects such as zines or photo books. But in any case, I think it can be good to look at those images to train our critical eye together. At the end of the video, I will reveal to you my top 3 out of all those images that are featured in this article. And if you watch this video until the end, I would love it if you also leave a comment about your favorite images from that ranking. So let's start with the first image. Oh no, not this one. So I calm down now. So this was the Chromatic Awards Street first place winner, an image called The Butcher by Robert Lai. I don't know this photographer, but I know this image. I have seen it featured in many bad online competitions as the winner image. I will explain to you why this image is bad right now. I don't like this image at all. I think it's supposed to be a joke. You are supposed to laugh when you look at it, or I'm not sure what you are supposed to do and what people appreciate in it. Like, first of all, it's something that a lot of people are doing to like replace someone's face with another object. And here in this case it's a pig's face, which could be interesting, but this image particularly is not interesting because the light is bad. It's a very like gray flat light. The image itself is very flat, there are not many layers. The colors are not very interesting. It's like, okay, there is this blue and red, but due to the bad light, it's just not popping. And apart from this like in your face, very central composition of that pig's face replacing the human face, there is nothing that interesting in the image. And yeah, I'm not feeling much when I look at this, and I'm just like, for me it's a gimmick. It's a gimmick that maybe works on social media with people that are not used to look at photos, but for me personally, this is not an image I think is interesting. And maybe I'm biased because I don't like those like comical juxtaposition, but I have seen some that I actually tend to think maybe they are not that bad because they have some aesthetic properties. But this image is not really like nice in any way. It's just, yeah, it's a joke, and a bad one at that, I think. Oh, and sorry to interrupt you after just one image in that ranking, but seeing that the first image is a photo where the face is hidden makes me think that I just released a zine in which not showing faces is the whole concept. I tried to make legal street photographs, as in Switzerland it's not allowed to show faces, apparently. So if you are interested in getting that zine, contact me on Instagram. Anyways, next one. The Independent Photographer Awards winner with the image Leap of Faith. So it's an image by Subran Karmakar. Yeah, I like this image. I think it's quite interesting that there is the shape in the water, that we also don't know what will happen once he lands in the water. This lady will probably get splashed, maybe get mad. So it's an image that asks some questions. In a way, when you think of it, it's a bit even funnier than the image above, to just like imagine the consequences of it and not knowing what would happen and imagining different scenarios. I like as well that there is a bit of texture in the water with those drops that landed. And yeah, I think it's decently interesting. Maybe one thing we could say is it's not overlapping here, but almost overlapping, which I think would have been a bit better if there was a bit more space between this shadow and this woman. But other than that, it's quite interesting. You know, there is like some interesting elements in the image without trying to be too complex just for the sake of complexity, which is something we see a lot as well. And interesting texture here, like decent composition. Some action is happening, it asks some questions. I think it's a quite strong image. I like it. Next one, this one, which is not really a street photograph. It was shot by Savadmon Avalachamvitil at the Mahakumbh. It's like the world's largest gathering. It's a religious gathering in India that takes place, I think, every 12 years. So quite an interesting event. This image I've seen a lot. It's not really a street photograph. It's probably taken with a drone. I don't think street photography is supposed to be done with a drone. You are supposed to be like mixing with the crowd, to be in contact with the crowd. But it might be also a good way to use a drone to make an interesting image at this gathering, because it's so crowded that it would be quite difficult otherwise to make a good image of that specific scene. I mean, it's an interesting image, but for example, these guys are standing on the truck, but it's not very obvious. It could have been more interesting to see them standing. The hands here are not popping quite a lot, so you see him standing, but you see quite late the position he's in. It's not that obvious, which could have been avoided by, I don't know, perhaps making the hands like on this white background. And other than that, it's a very central composition with the main action here and nothing else really happening apart from people standing. And it's also a bit too close to show the immensity of this gathering. Perhaps an image taken from a bit further, not focusing specifically on an action, but just showing like the gigantic aspect of this gathering could have been a bit more interesting in my opinion. Still, it's not bad, but it's not my type of stuff. Now on to the next one. London Camera Exchange Photographer of the Year, Street winner. So that's the winner of the street photography category with an image called Platform Number 1 by John Seeger. Yeah, something I like is like the primary colors being present in the image, red, green, blue, yellow. So interesting color, but the light is nothing special. Here we can see the shadows were lifted quite a lot, I think. And then the composition it's not a bad idea for an image, let's say that, but it would have been much more interesting if someone was, I don't know, climbing here, or like a second human presence in this area would have been good, or just a second point of interest, not necessarily a human, but this area is a bit empty in my opinion. And then this guy is just standing, so it's a bit of a... It's not very interesting. Just not... Yeah, it's not something I found any kind of interest in it. So yeah, let's skip this. Let's go to the next one. British Photography Awards Street winner. Summer of Construction in London by Andrew Golubev. Yeah, it's an attempt at making a minimalist image. I'm not against minimalist street photography. I think there are a lot of photographers doing very interesting images in this style. Here I think the problem is that there is a bit, maybe a lack of texture on this part. It's like a negative space but without anything. And then the guy is looking at the bottom left of the image. Maybe if the hole had been placed up here and he looked at the negative space, it could have been a bit more interesting. This is also a bit an image that goes into the gimmick category. You know, you might have those triggers when you see those construction tags to look through them and see if there is anything interesting happening. I've personally tried this sometimes. I think it's more interesting if you have like a few different holes and you manage to place something in each of them to make a bit of a more complex image. But yeah, this image doesn't make me feel much. There's not much interesting happening. And compositionally, I think it could have been better. So it's not the worst one so far, but it's also not my favorite. Let's go now to the next image. Huh? Oh no. Okay, British Photography Awards, Street People's Choice winner, Wrapped in Love by Fatma Demir. I think this is like not an interesting image. We can see the photographer in the reflection of the window. It's just a baby in his mom's coat. Maybe it's funny, I don't know. The hands of the mother was cut off, so the composition is not that good. The colors are popping, the light on the face of the baby is interesting. Other than that, I don't know, maybe it's part of this like funny, cute category of street photography that I personally distantiate myself from. I don't like it. But even if you like this kind of cute images, I'm quite sure you can find like better photos of babies. It's not that interesting. Next one, the Independent Photographer Awards first prize winner, Gazing Cat China by Ya Junhu. This image is kind of interesting because I like the fact that it's like a split image. So there's one part that's light, one part that's a bit darker, and then in the darker part you have like a kind of a frame that's lighter, and here you have the silhouette that's darker. So it works, it's quite balanced. The cat is looking in the right direction. It will guide your eye here. And I like the texture of this wall. Yeah, I think it's one of the most interesting we've seen so far out of the 7 we've seen. Anyways, next one. The Independent Photographer Awards, second prize winner, Mumbai Ceremony by Suresh Naganathan. So Suresh Naganathan, who is a photographer that lives in the same country as me, I think. He lives there, or he is Swiss, I'm not sure. He does a lot of work in India. I have seen some of his work in Switzerland and I was absolutely not impressed. But his work in India is excellent. So it's a bit strange that he has these extremely strong photos in India, and in Switzerland he has photos that are really nothing special in my opinion. Anyways, regarding this photo, it's one of his very good photos. He has some photos that I prefer, but this one is one of his recent strongest photos. Of course, it works well online because of the emotion and the proximity to the face, but it's a good photo, not just for its kind of virality, but also because there is a strong emotion being displayed. The person having the emotion is not looking at the camera, he's looking at the sky. It's probably a religious ceremony. I like the fact that he placed himself behind those hands, so it kind of looks like us, the viewer, are doing this gesture of lighting the match and putting this pill on fire. I'm not sure what's happening, which is a good thing. It's good to have a bit of mystery. We are not really sure what part of a ceremony this is, what's happening on the image. There is this hand here holding him. Not sure if this is this lady's hand or if it's someone else closer, maybe this. Yeah, strong emotion, good colors on the side. But the strength as well is also the light. I think he probably used a flash. But yeah, there's a bit of sweat that adds to the very dramatic aspect of this image. So I think it's a good image. So next one, the Independent Photographer Awards, third prize winner, Untitled by Vince Nico. Yeah, it's typically the kind of New York photography that I personally don't really like. It's just popping a flash on an interesting character. Bruce Gilden did it 10 times better before, so there is not really any kind of originality in this image. One of the hands is cut off, which I don't know, it would have been interesting to see if she had the same gloves on or something else. She's looking down, maybe lost in her thoughts, but I don't know, I just don't think it's that interesting. At the back there is some cars that are not really nice. I don't know why, but in this century, cars seems to look very uninteresting. I don't know if it's because of safety regulation that you have to make very rounded angles or what's the problem, but they don't look nice. And on the right side, just some people walking. So yeah, I get it, she's lost in her thoughts in the middle of a crowd, but for me it just doesn't work. And the flash maybe is a bit too powerful. She's very white. I don't know. It's a good character, but you could have maybe stopped her and take a portrait if you are that interested in just the individual looks of the people. And maybe a portrait would have been even better than a stolen image with a flash like this. I'm not sure. I just don't really like it. Next one, Pure Street Photography Awards Grand Winner, Who is Next? By Stephanie Weiblinger from Germany. The Galata Bridge. Okay. If you have never been in Turkey or if you have never seen images of that bridge, it must mean you are quite new to street photography, because this bridge is probably one of the most photographed places on earth by street photographers. It's true, it's an excellent location to make good photos, but it's a bit you will go there and you will find your photos. I've done it myself. I have some photos with couples getting married there. It's every day the same scene happens. But this is quite an interesting moment because the bouquet is being thrown in the air. I would love to see some photographers going there and trying out different angles than just always the same one with the stairs as the background and the people going down. It's true, it's an interesting background, but when I went there, personally, I tried some other backgrounds or some other angles of this place, and I think I got some decent shots there. This one is quite good, honestly. It's quite an interesting shot. There is some action happening. It's very good that the bouquet, she selected the image where the bouquet is in the dark background, that way you really see it pop, you understanding directly what's happening. Then there is some layer because there are some people here, a shadow here, that's interesting. Yeah, it's not bad, but somehow knowing the place make me kind of lose the magic of this image, because I know that if you go there, place yourself at the back of this, I don't know how it's called, this jetty or whatever, you place yourself at the back, you have the blue wall as the background, and you just camp there, and things will happen, and you can like fire photos. It's, I don't know, sometimes it feels a bit like an industry of street photography, this bridge, where I think it's also nice to try to look for unique places and unique moments where you are the only one that shot them. I'm not the best person to say this advice, because when I was in Istanbul, I also went to all of those popular places, but looking back, if I went back now, I will try to also go to different places. Anyways, I think I like it still quite a lot. And I know the bias I have, that I have seen this place, it kind of ruined the image for me. If I didn't know that place, I would definitely think that's a really great image. Next one, Pure Street Photography Awards, first place winner, Meeting in the Middle by Casarella Tabs from the UK. Some people would say it's not a street photography, but I would say that there is a street feature, so it's a street photography indeed. Apart from that little joke about the street photography definition, I think it's an interesting image. I personally prefer like black and white images with a bit more contrast. It could have been interesting to, I don't know, push a bit the black here to make it a bit darker. Yeah, I'm not sure, but there must have been a way to make it a bit, like to make it pop a bit more, the scene that's in the middle. And of course I would have added some grain, because I like grainy black and white photography, but other than that, I think it's an interesting image, like some cows fighting in the middle of the road. There is a good placement. Again, it's like a very simple composition with the main action in the middle, but yeah, it's not bad. I'm not sure what to say about it. It's at the same time, there's nothing happening on the side, but it's not too bad of an image. I could see it in a book about UK's countryside, a book that's a bit more quiet with different landscape, and then suddenly you insert this image to create a bit of a maybe comedic effect, or create a bit more dynamism in the book. So it could have its place in a book, I think. As a single image, it's nice as well, but I think it could really take some more interest if it was featured in a book. Next one, Pure Street Photography Award, second place winner, Mirror by Christian China. It's again one of those funny images where it looks like the face here is replaced. I like that there is someone standing here. It creates a bit of layering. The light is very much overcast light, gray light. The expression, the emotion is nice, but she's kind of looking at the photographer, which in my opinion is very difficult to make a good image when someone looks directly at the camera. What else can we say? Yeah, it's a fun moment. She's carrying a mirror and we can see her face in it. It kind of juxtaposed with this person's face. Yeah, I like it, but not too much. Let's see, next one. Minimalist Photography Awards, first place winner, Together by Selaru Ovidiu. Yeah, this is the kind of like black and white images that I like. It has a bit more contrast than the one we saw before, and there is a bit of grain, so it's quite an interesting image. It's nice how they are placed on the white background, in that the rest is quite filled with buildings, but where they are, it's just white, so they really pop. There is a bit of reflection, a bit of texture. Is it a good photo? Yes, I think it's a good image. Is it something that screams originality or that you can look at for a long time? I'm not so sure. In any case, it's quite interesting that like the top is very white, here it's very dark, and there is this couple in the middle that seems very lonely in the middle of this very gloomy weather. No, it's really not a bad image. Just maybe a bit too, how to say that? It's maybe something we've seen already quite a lot, I feel, in the history of photography. Bad weather and the umbrella, but it's interesting. Also, if you look up close, they seem to be looking at each other. I'm not sure if it's a candid image or not, but in any case, it's a good one. I think it's a good image. Next one, Minimalist Photography Awards, second place winner, Crosswalk by Yong Seok Chun. So this is again a drone image, unless there is a bridge going up there with a transparent floor, which I doubt. So does not really qualify as street photography according to most street photographers. Again, the definition of street photography is quite hard. We tend to use a bit of a normative description where street photography is basically what street photographers do, and street photographers are defined as people that define themselves as street photographers. I think we could come up with maybe a better definition than this normative one. In any case, this image, apart from not being a street photograph, this image is not that interesting. I've seen better images of crossings from above. Sometimes exactly, this is called Minimalist Photography Awards. I don't see the minimalism in here. There are like hundreds of people walking everywhere. If you had just one person with a colorful umbrella, or one person with a colorful cloth, or one person with like the light hitting them very good and the shadow, it could have been more interesting than this. Like, there is nothing interesting in this image, I think, apart from the symmetry of the crosswalk. Apart from that, I'm not sure what's the interest in here. And definitely not sure what's minimalist about it. Next one, Minimalist Photography Awards, third place winner, Blurry Man by Ole Arne Thompson. Okay, this is a disclaimer. I'm a huge fan of like images using a window to blur what's behind or to create texture and to give a bit of impressionism to the image by making the light more diffused and the subject a bit blurry and not recognizable. So I like this image, but do I like some images using the same tricks better? Yes. Particularly recently, I looked at someone called, I think, Vadi Kovev's work, which is really using the same trick. I think he's photographing the same bus stand again and again. And he has some really interesting photos there where it's not just someone sitting, but there are also some gestures. It also plays with the transparency by maybe putting some part of the image behind the blurry window and some parts that are clear, so it creates a bit more contrast and, in my opinion, a bit more of an interesting image. Still, I like this one, but as I said, I'm very biased. I think a lot of street photographers would find this absolutely boring, and I understand this point of view. What's also interesting here is the texture of the jacket, that it's not like laying straight. There's a bit of foldings, so yeah, interesting. Okay, next one, Monovision's Photography Awards, first place winner, From Salute to Cheers by Chris Moziro. Black and white image. Okay, so this image is quite interesting. We are not sure if it's a bachelor's party or if it's like some actual Marines coming back from some mission. In any case, it seems quite festive. The composition is nice. There is no overlap and the frame is well filled. And one thing that I really like in this image is this guy's look and the way his face is lit. It's a bit kind of biblical, like he's looking up to the sky as if he was lit by some enlightenment, or we are not sure. Probably he's just looking at someone talking to him, but still, it's interesting. The cigarette here is always an interesting element. Yeah, it's not a bad image. I kind of like it. Yeah. So let's go on to the next one, number 17, Monovision's Photography Awards, second place winner, Nice Weather for the Dogs, haha, nice joke, by Peter Rostad. So this one is like, I think it's Big Ben in London, but I'm not sure. I don't think it looks like this. I don't know. It's some church tower with some guy going down with an umbrella, so just a silhouette shot, and there is some symmetry with the stairs. I don't like this shot too much. It's a bit too empty up here. It's not very moody because the weather is just overcast. Maybe if it was like raining heavily and you could see the rain, it would be a bit nicer. Maybe if a flash was used to like make the rain visible, it could have looked a bit nicer. In the current state, I don't really like this image. I don't think it's that interesting to see someone going down a set of stairs. It also feels like it's one of those spots where you can just go, wait and get the exact same shot on any day, which is something that I don't really like. I like sometimes street photographs are like nicer if they contain a scene of something that seems a bit unique and not something that repeats itself every day in that same location. Let's jump to the next one. Number 18, Great Photo Awards, first place street for the photo called Moment by Myo Min Aung from Myanmar. First thing first, this has to be absolutely removed. It's a bit annoying, but that's independent from the will of the photographer. And other than that, this is a quite good image. I liked how those two shadows landing on top of this plot are looking, and the way they are kind of symmetrical. There's one on both sides and then something in the middle is happening. It's quite a strong kind of triangular composition. What I like less is probably the color of the floor. It's a bit too bad that it's like brown dirt. It would have looked nicer if it was green. And here I think some work on the color could have been done to maybe reduce a bit the highlights and have a bit more blue to pop that could match the orange a bit better. But other than that, it's a nice image. There is like some dynamism, some movement. Also here something is happening. It's not just someone standing, it's someone getting shaved, I think. So it's great, like a nicely timed frame, a good composition. It's a nice shot. Next one, second place street, The Pusher and Pullers by Saurabh Sirohiya from India. So you will see a lot in India those green and yellow tuk-tuk, and you will as well see quite a lot of drawings on the walls. So not properly graffiti in the European or American sense, but more some like nice drawings showing some scenes of daily life you can find quite often. And in this case, we have those kids pulling on a rope, and it's lined up with this guy pushing his tuk-tuk. It's again one of those images that is like a juxtaposition, similar to the first image that I really didn't like, the pig replacing the human face. But here I feel like the juxtaposition has more, because the kids are pulling, he's trying to push his tuk-tuk in the same direction, so the two elements that are juxtaposed have some kind of a link between them, like a storytelling link. My problem is more aesthetically. I don't really find this image that pleasing from the light point of view, or even the color point of view. That's also due to the light, of course. And the scene is a bit, I don't know, if it was a sunny day, maybe you could have added a shadow in that, you could have added some other elements as well to make the image a bit less flat. It's also quite a flat image, I think. But other than that, I kind of like it. Next one, number 20, Street Photographers Foundation Award, single image winner, The Smooth Criminal by Tavepong Pratumwong. So he is quite known, I think, for those like funny images or like funny juxtapositions. This image, honestly, I know probably a lot of people like it. Personally, I kind of despise it. I don't like it at all from like an aesthetic point of view. I think the highlights are like too strong. So the action that's happening in the front row here, this guy like falling, or we don't know what's happening. So from a storytelling point of view, it's nice. We are wondering what's happening to this guy. We have this guy as well looking, so it's really like a strange scene that's taking place. But then from the point of view of the image being pleasing to look at, regardless of what's happening in it, I must say that I'm not convinced. It's like there is this guy in the background that kind of attracts the eye, so you barely notice the guy at some stage, or he's like, I don't know, it's a bit of a poor background to put this situation forward, in my opinion. And not very pleasing to look at those like ray of cars here. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's a great scene, and of course you cannot choose the background when it happens, so it's right to take the photo. It's interesting to show it to the world by posting it on Instagram, but I'm not sure if it should be winning a contest. Because I think for a great street photograph, there needs to be, at least in my perception, a good light, a good colors, a good layering. And in this image, it's lacking all of those elements. Of course, a good street photograph must also have probably something like striking about it, which is the case here, but does it go further than that? Does it have other things that are interesting apart from a strange scene happening? I'm not sure. I'm not convinced. And it has been winning like a lot of awards. We see it everywhere. I'm just tired of this shot, honestly, at this point. Okay, next one. Image number 21, Street Photographers Foundation Awards Series Image Winner. A Great Divide by Edwin Karunge. So I like that this image was in a series, because as I said before, I like series, I like zines, I like proper projects. I think it's better to like express your vision as a photographer, to work on such things than to do single bangers. This image, I like it just as I said before, the colors here are really nice. You know, you have that red here, that hint of blue, that yellow, that green. All primary colors are here. The dominant color is the green, which is probably the most neutral of those three colors. So it's not like an image where colors takes the entire stage. You also have some action happening here, a great shadow on the side that lands on that red wall. It's probably part of a festival or something, but it's definitely an interesting image. I like that the faces are hidden. I think personally, if I had like one thing to say, I don't really like the fact that there is this overlap between this shadow and this leg. If Edwin Karungai went a bit lower, he would have been able to like clearly distantiate this shadow from this foot, and it would have looked a bit cleaner, the image. But that's very easy to say afterwards. Probably this moment happened in a blink, and it's good that he managed to capture it like this, and that he managed to also click the shutter while this shadow was still in the red part, because that's really, I think, what kind of makes the image. Because when you look at it, that's perhaps the first like human element you can notice, and then you can see where the shadow comes from. At least that's how I read that image. Yeah, I like it. I like this one. It could potentially make it onto the top 3. Let's see what else we have. 35 Photography Awards, first place winner, Cold Photo by Chris Panos. Okay, so we have 2 old people and 2 seagulls on top. I guess well done. You managed to like hit the shutter at the right moment when the seagulls were on top of those people. But the problem is that the image is like, it's missing their arm here, the arm here. The expression is not that great. I don't really know, they're looking for something in the bag. Yeah, I mean, the colors are not that interesting, the light is not that interesting. Like, good job for getting those 2 seagulls on top of those 2 people, that's for sure. Good timing, good, like, probably notice that there were the seagull flying and managed to put something in the foreground. But then I don't know if this image like tells me much, or if I like it. Let me know in the comments, guys, because I feel like this is one of those images that maybe I'm missing the interest of it. And maybe someone that's looking at this video really likes it. So please let me know why you like it if you do. Next, number 23, Photography Award, second place winner, photo by Shrinjoy Mighty. No, oh no, not this, okay. Oh no, this is again one of those juxtaposition shots with the bags at the back. It's really not working, like... Oh, okay, we got it. It's strange. It looks like he's looking at us, but his back is facing us, but then we can see the arm here, so it's not even like... and the leg here. It's not even a well-made, funny juxtaposition. It's just, I will tell you what happened. This guy was probably taking random photos, and like by chance there was the head here, and when sorting the images he thought it was funny. Well, me, it doesn't make me laugh, and apart from trying to be funny, I don't know what this image tried to achieve. It doesn't show anything that's aesthetically pleasing. I wouldn't want to look at this in a book. I wouldn't want to look at this anywhere. I don't like it. Next, image 24 by Nicolas Sebak, called Childhood, and it made it to the 3rd place of the Photography Awards. So the photography awards, was this the winner? This the second one? But I think honestly, out of those 3 photos, this one is the best one. It's quite minimalist, but it has a bit of a color hint here in the triangle shape. That's always pleasant. Just the light is going through here. He was there at the right moment. This kid is passing by, playing. The gesture is nice. The shadow is not overlapping with the other shadow on the side, so it's quite clear. There's a bit of texture here on the side, a bit of texture here. Yeah, I like this image. I think it's quite good. I wouldn't mind having a print of it or something. It's not bad. It's quite nice. Might make it on the top 3. Let's see. So yeah, next one. Number 25, Fine Art Photography Award, Street Photography First Place winner, Geometry of Loneliness by Piotr Nalewajka. I understand the idea, Geometry of Loneliness. There are a lot of chairs and they are sitting here alone, but for me, first of all, this image doesn't really evoke loneliness. Like there are 2 sitting here. It's quite obvious that this is just some kind of open air theater and they are here in advance, so late, they stayed there. Or I'm not sure what's happening, but I'm not that interested in knowing what's happening. You know, in the end, it's just a photo of 2 people sitting next to a lot of chairs. And yeah, I struggle to see, again, the aesthetic interest. As I said before, for black and white images, I like when there is a lot of contrast, which is not the case here. But also the sun seems to be coming from that angle, so their faces are not lit, their bodies are not lit. For me, it's not really a nice image for me. I'm sorry. For now, guys, I must say that I'm not really convinced by this ranking of 30 images. And if those are really the best 30 images shot in 2025, I think it's a year that we can all forget and try to do better in 26. Let me know what you think in the comments, but I'm just not convinced by those competitions. They seem to always elect some kind of like kitsch, easy photos or like those juxtapositions. I don't know, it's like not very aesthetic. Whereas when you look at the great masters of street photography, of course they had like storytelling elements, sometimes funny images, if you think of Elliot Erwitt, for example, but they always tended to have perhaps the first condition for an image to be retained in their portfolio was that the image is pleasing to look at, that there is like a nice composition, a nice light and nice colors. Or if it's black and white, nice contrast. Here, I don't know, I don't like those images, most of them. Anyways, next one. Oh god. Photographer of the Year Awards, that only. Street winner, Pimp Nails in Havana by Turid Martinson. Yeah, an image of someone doing their nails. Extremely flat image, no layers, no 3-dimensionality, weak light. It sucks, I'm sorry, I really don't like it. I don't know what is this ranking. Next one. Color Photography Contest, first place, professional overall winner, Morocco Sentimental Atlas by Nicola Fioravanti. Yeah, we have someone walking away from this place. The image is decently nice, like this overabundance of orange creates kind of a monochromatic image. There is this pillow here, which indicates that maybe he was sitting there and then started moving away. Apart from that, I don't know, the highlights again here are a bit disturbing to me, the way it's a bit overly bright. And again, I think it's lacking some action or something on this side. It's definitely not the worst image we have seen today. It's a decent color image. At least there is some thought in the color. It could be as well very easily integrated in a series about Morocco, which might be the case. It would probably find its place in a series if you have, I don't know, the previous image, something happening, and then if you manage to have this photo looking like the person in the image before with this guy leaving, it could be interesting. As a standalone image though, I must say this one is maybe the opposite of the other. It's maybe a bit aesthetic, but it's maybe lacking a bit of storytelling. Next one, 28. I Shot Photography Awards, first place, Horse and Canadair by Simona Bonanno from Italy. I've seen it before, I think. First of all, I talked about black and white images with good contrast. I think it's the case here. We don't have like those pale grays dominating the image. We have like quite defined black and whites here. Something interesting is happening. I guess it's during like some forest fires, and you have those horses that are stranded here, and the plane in the back trying to calm the fire. That also explains why the sky looks so dramatic, which is nice. Of course, it would have been a much nicer image if the horse was like facing the camera or a bit more on the profile side rather than showing his ass. But still, I enjoy it. It's quite a nice image. Like, it tells a story. It tells the story of like some forest fire happening, the fact that you have to keep the horses away from the fire. That's why they are on a football pitch, which is also a bit surprising. And then you have the plane behind that comes to as the like key to the narration that the image is trying to do, showing us why the horses are in this football pitch. So it's, in my opinion, quite an interesting image. Storytelling is strong. Visually, it's quite striking. Yeah, the only flaw is the horse is not facing us, but that's not something the photographer could decide. So I think this is one of my favorites from the... So next one, 28. I Shot Photography Award, second place. Moon by Josef Makak from Slovakia. So this is an image that is extremely complex, a lot of layers, which is always, I think, interesting in an image. But then you have also to kind of avoid doing layering just for the sake of it. Here I think it's interesting with this girl in the mirror, which is somehow held by her hand, even though it's a motorbike mirror. And then upstairs, like perhaps the last layer you will see is this woman with the legs spread, and that's probably why the image is called Moon. So it has a bit of a like fun component to it, but the joke is not at the center of the image. It's not too like in your face. You have to explore the image to find why he called it Moon, and to find a bit the, I would say maybe the point of interest in it. And then it has like different layers, like this guy carrying this mother and her child here, this father and his child here. It's quite interesting, well layered. The background is a bit messy, but it still works, I think, because you focus mostly on this in the background. I think a very good image from like a layer perspective. Compositionally, it's also very strong. There is no overlap, although the image is very complex, which is pretty hard to achieve. One criticism that I know my friend Film Fiasco would do is to say that this is a photo for photographers, because we know how hard it is to make such an image, so we appreciate the efforts that went into it, and the timing, and knowing how to position yourself when you see such a situation. And that's true. It's true that it's a photo that might lack a bit of emotional impact when you look at it, and that might be a bit more inclined for photographers to like it, which is not necessarily a problem, I think. My problem with this image, if I had to express my opinion and find one negative point in this image, is of course the light that is pretty flat light. So it could have been a much more dramatic image if it was a sunny day. That's my opinion. I still like it a lot, and I think for now I Shot, despite the criticism they have faced recently, still provided the strongest selection of image, or the most like properly street photographic images. Next one and last one, number 30, I Shot Photography Awards, third place, an image called Manhood by Mohsen Haj, shot in Algeria. Yeah, I like the black and white edit is good, has enough contrast in my opinion. So there is this guy looking a bit kind of suspicious towards the camera, in a suspicious way towards the camera. And these people in the back carrying some kind of weird hats. This one has a gun or a flute. We are not sure what it is. I think it's a gun probably. So it's a decent image with some mystery surrounding it. For me, a bit of problem of overlap, like this head popping out of the horse head and the horse head popping in this shoulder. So apart from the main character, the background could have been a bit organized better. Like the left part is very strong with this hand here. This is very strong, but the further we go, the more the layers are overlapped and the image lacks overall clarity. Other than that, I still think it's quite a strong image. Definitely one of the good ones from that selection, those 30 images. Okay, so for my top 3, it will be quite instinctive. I didn't have much time to think, but I think the third place will go for this one, Leap of Faith by Subrata Karmakar. I'm giving the second place to Suresh Naganathan's image. This one I think is really nice. Strong emotion, and really the way that we have placed puts us into the action. So it's quite an amazing image. And I think I'm giving the first place to this one by Stephanie Weiblinger. I criticized it because it's at the Galata Bridge, but I kind of like the color of the bridge, this guy's t-shirt, the same color, and of course the action, the triangular composition here is really strong with both girls looking at the bouquet to see where it will land, if she will catch it. There is a certain tension to the image, a good composition, good colors, good light. I think it deserves to be maybe not in the first place, but that's my ranking. Let me know in the comments what would be your top 3 out of all those 30 images. And if you have enjoyed this video, don't hesitate to like and subscribe. I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.